Hi, my name is Marie Heath, and I am an Associate Professor of Learning Design and Technology at Loyola University Maryland. I'm also the Department Chair of Education Specialties here at Loyola, and I'm also the co-founder and co-executive director of the Civics of Technology Project, which is now a nonprofit where we work with folks who are doing critical technology work and education work, just to make space for that through conferences and professional development and curriculum. And I co-authored a book with Stephanie Smith Budhai about AI and education. And today I'd like to chat a little bit about that and what sort of our approach was. And also, I used to have a friend who said to me, jokingly, "Marie, are you against progress?" And I said, "I'm not against progress. I'm just pro-democracy and pro-learning." So if a technology is supportive of those things, a more inclusive democracy, a more broad and powerful education, then I am for it. And if it seems to challenge those things or limit them, then I am going to think about ways that we can sort of either hack it to make it useful for us, or resist it, or refuse it, which is a great example of democracy in action, right? So in our classrooms, which are sites of democracy, allowing students to have spaces where they make decisions about the technologies that they invite into their lives. So Stephanie approached me. She had someone from Harvard Ed Press come and ask her if she'd write a book on AI. And she said, "Marie, I would love to write that book with you." And so we thought together about what it could be. Both of us, I'll say among my colleagues in EdTech, I don't think I'm a contrarian, but they sometimes say I'm a contrarian, in that I often am arguing for a pause before we just bring a technology into the classroom. And so with Stephanie, we thought about what could this look like. Right now, everyone's talking about AI. There's lots of books about how to adopt it into your classroom, what to do with it. And we didn't want to write a book like that. We wanted to write a book that's centered on ways to address what I had been studying for a long time, which were the injustices which are embedded in the technology of artificial intelligence as it exists in the moment. So we thought, what does it mean to bring a technology which is made with stolen data from humans across the world, that has a particular viewpoint because the internet also has a particular viewpoint, who is represented on the internet, where, whose visions are captured and put in there. The men who develop it, what is their viewpoint? What is their vision of the future? How are they making lots of money on this, getting in front of schools? And so what does that mean for our students in our schools when we bring a technology whose sort of creation was unethical and whose outputs are often biased? What does that mean if you ask a student to co-think with it, or be in conversation with something that is in itself both biased, it's racist, and it's anti-democratic, right? The folks who own it are billionaires who want to become very powerful and are. And so what does that mean for our students to put that in schools with them? And so my argument often is less about teaching with the AI and rather teaching about it, right? What should we do as citizens with a technology that exists? And I don't necessarily like the narrative that it's out of the bottle and so we just have to accept it, but rather, if this is in our lives, what does this mean for us as citizens? What does it mean for our democracy? What does it mean for our social and personal lives? And so for me, it's less about teaching how to use the technology, but rather what it does and how it nudges us. And I think a great analog to that is, for instance, social media, which I'll say when it came out, I thought, this is amazing. We have a technology that people can access, and it will democratize access to information. It takes down old gatekeepers. There was the Arab Spring, there was the Me Too movement, there were all kinds of things that I thought social media is really going to be the thing that that brings us together. And yet here it is, the thing that is tearing us apart. And so our goal in the book was partly to bring that approach. What does it mean to teach about this technology, to think through the sort of political implications of it, the economic implications of it, the social implications of it, and how can we dream a future that we want instead of the one that the sort of 5 tech billionaires who are pushing for this in our schools want for us. So in our book, we talk about different ways to do that. And we lean into folks who have for a long time taught how to work towards more just futures. So we look at fugitive pedagogies, which come out of the work of Jarvis Givens at Harvard, and the ways that we can work towards more free spaces, even when we are working somewhere that is constrained and perhaps it has been told you're not supposed to do that. We lean into culturally sustaining pedagogies, which honor different ways of being, different cultures, and lift them up in order to undo oppression and use your own sort of ways of being as assets. And then we look at abolitionist pedagogies and Bettina Love's work and the ways that we can teach for reimagine and think about new futures. So I don't know if I'm supposed to refer to Bob in this or not, but I'll just say that he was just sharing a beautiful thing that he did with his own students, where each one stood up and said what they would be in the future and what they could be. And use technology all throughout that lesson, videos and music and editing, but it was not about the technology. It was about the students who were dreaming a world for themselves that was not dictated to them by the technology, but was rather one they wanted to pursue. And so that is really the crux of our book and the crux of the work that I do in education. And the work that I do with Civics of Technology is, what futures do we dream, and how can we bring them into existence?